Alright guys, just one quick thing before we get into the video. I have a friend that started a YouTube channel up maybe a couple months ago, something like that. I don't know exactly when. If you go on his channel, you'll see, how long it's been since he's actually been on YouTube. But he just started up a gaming channel. It's called Nico Loaded In. I'm going to put the link in the video, in my video down below. If you're into gaming stuff, video games or anything like that, just subscribe to him, or even just check out his channel, watch some of the videos. He's got some good stuff on there. It's not like one specific game. He doesn't just do GTA, or he doesn't just do, Call of Duty, whatever. He's got a lot of different stuff on his channel that he's doing. So his name is Nico Loaded In. Go give him some love, subscribe to him, and let's get into the video. Alright, what is going on, guys? Today I want to discuss the 5 things I hate about my truck. Now, I'm just going to throw it out there and say I absolutely love this truck. I love it, I love it. It is quickly becoming one of my favorite vehicles I've ever owned. But as anything else in the world, nothing is perfect and everything is going to have issues. There are some things that I don't like about it, and I wish were a little bit different. So, we'll get into it. I'll name some of the 5 things here. Now, these are going to be no particular order, besides the first one that I mentioned. The first one that I'll mention in the video probably is my least favorite thing about this truck. Other than that, every other thing that I list here is all just going to be, just things that I don't like in general. So let's get the number one thing out of the way. The thing that I hate the most about this truck, it's these right here. I'm sure some of you guys could have guessed it because of the one video I'd made, but I absolutely, for the life of me, hate these tires. I have never in my life ever hated tires as much as I dislike these. Now, my Crown Vic, that used to have the Eagle RSAs on it, and I didn't like those tires really at all. I thought they were okay. They were good for like dry handling, but anything else, they sucked. These aren't even good for dry handling. I mean, these are like, they're just not good. I'm not even getting that great of fuel economy as these. It's not even like, they suck, but like I get somewhat decent fuel economy. I'm probably getting like average fuel economy with this, or even like maybe a little below what people say they average with these trucks. So I'm not even getting fuel economy, good fuel economy with these tires. So I just hate them. They have no grip. I mean, as soon as I get into any type of soft sand or dirt, they instantly just sink right in. Now, it may just be the tire, but it's kind of old. These are from 2010. They have a little bit of dry rot on them. I'm sure the age has a little bit of a factor why I hate them so much. But even so, I'm sure if these tires were brand spanking new, I would still hate them. I can't stand them. That's definitely going to be one of the first things that I do to this truck, is get rid of these freaking tires. I hate them. I absolutely hate them. You have no idea how much I can't stand these tires. So that is the only one on this list that I truly, truly do hate, and it's my number one thing that I hate. But fortunately, I can swap that out. It's not something that is permanent to the truck, which is great. And that leads me to my second one, which is going to be the mirrors. I really don't like these mirrors. They're not horrible. They're not the worst. But these mirrors for this size truck, this size vehicle, they're just not that good. If you look at this mirror, take a look at this, the size. Like, here's my hand for comparison, okay? There's my hand. Here's my hand on the actual mirror, okay? And then we go over and we take a look at the Crown Vic mirror. Sure, it's not as big, the Crown Vic mirror. It's a little bit smaller. But, like, you can see my hand goes past the mirror a little tiny bit. But it's not that much smaller. I mean, it's actually kind of, it's they're almost around the same size. This is maybe like an extra inch all the way around, you know, a ½ inch on top, ½ inch on the bottom, just an overall like inch longer in size, maybe like an inch and a half. They're not that much larger. And when you have a big truck like this, it kind of makes things hard to see. I have a terrible blind spot on this side over here when I'm driving. This area over here, I have an absolutely terrible blind spot. I can't really see out this back window here. And I can't see out this window because it's kind of the seat's in the way, like this whole thing's in the way here. So I had the mirror like positioned all the way out to try to get rid of that blind spot. Now, if I had the big tow mirrors, which I do eventually want to do, I'd be able to eliminate that spot. I'd be able to have the top one here like they have, and then the secondary mirror on the bottom that you can, you know, position in and out. So I eventually will get the tow mirrors. I'm not really happy with these. I also don't like the way they look either. They just look kind of like bleh, you know? They almost remind me of the new Chevy mirrors. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're like block, and then like it goes up, block, and then like up, and then like the mirror. That's like the new tow mirrors on like the 2020 Chevys. I think they look horrible, the mirrors. And these in some way kind of remind me of those, just not as many layers. Like this would be like a PS4. It's like 2 stacks, and then you get to the PS4 Pro, it's like 3 stacks. That would be like the Chevy tow mirror. So I'm not really a fan of them. I really want to get those off at some point. But once again, it's something that I can change, which is awesome. It's not, you know, permanent to the truck. The number 3 thing that I hate about this truck, and I didn't realize it, but, you know, getting into it, I never realized this was an issue with this particular truck. That is the size of the cab, and like the space you have. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, you know, what's wrong with the size of the interior? Because if you look, sorry, it's a mess. I'm helping someone move. But I have a bunch of stuff in this thing. The whole bed's loaded up and stuff. But as you can see, you know, it has decent legroom back here. It's not that bad. It's pretty decent. That's not my concern. Once again, up here, nice and roomy. No issues at all. So you're probably thinking, you know, what is it about the interior that, you know, you don't like? You know, why are you saying that it's you know, you have interior space? And that is the fact you can't, there's no back seat. Like there's no area behind the back seat to put anything, and there's nothing really under the seat you can put stuff. If you pop this forward like so, as you can see, there's not, like, the seat, it ends right where that like frying pan is. You can see like the pan sticking out there a little bit. And then if you look over here with the seat closed, you can see it's just about even with the pan there, okay? There's not a lot of interior space to put stuff. This is borderline useless to put anything. You really only have this area. I mean, I have jumper cables here. I had to like force the seat down to like try to like get this to fit back here. There's not a lot of space, and this is only on the super cabs, and I never realized. Because if you get a regular cab, you know, you can, there's space behind the bench where you can put a lot of stuff. And then when you get the crew cabs, once again, you can move the seats forward. You can put a lot of stuff behind the crew cabs. But the super cabs or extended cab like I have, you can't do that. Now you could store a whole bunch of stuff back here, and yeah, you have plenty of space. But then it looks like you're riding in, like, you know, the Beverly Hillbillies car, you know? Who wants that? I like my interiors to be clean, look nice. I don't like driving around a bunch of stuff in the back and everything else. So I could use this whole entire back for storage, but then it almost defeats the purpose of having a super cab. You know, what's the point of having a back seat if I just use it for storage? You know, if that was the case, then a regular cab would have been better. So I'm a little disappointed with the storage. There's no spot here to put anything. Now the front does have some storage, which is nice. You know, you could put some stuff in the doors here. These actually have a decent amount of storage. But when it comes to the back, there's not a whole lot that you can do, and there's nothing you can really do to fix it. Unfortunately, it's just the design. It's just the design of the truck. you know, it is what it is. You know, unfortunately, that's just going to be something I'm going to have to deal with. You know, I'm trying to come up with some type of solution to deal with the storage back there, but I don't really think there's too much that I can do. So, you know, unfortunately, like I said, it's just an inherent, you know, design with the truck. It's unfortunately one of those things that I can't change. So, you know, it is what it is. What am I going to do? Now, I still like the super cabs the best. I do like the regular cabs too. I'm just not really a crew cab guy. They do look nice. I have seen some crew cabs that are really nice looking, but I prefer the extended cabs. I just think they have the best look in my eyes. So that's number 3. Now, number 4, and this is going to happen to everyone that owns these trucks, and, you know, it's definitely something that's annoying, and that is for sure the leaks. The leaks / I'm going to say, I guess I'm going to put leaks and common problems into one, but mainly leaks. The biggest thing with these trucks, especially the ones that have the 7.3s like I have, I'm really specifically talking about the 7.3. I'm not talking about the 5.4 or anything. So if you have a 5.4, you're kind of excluded from this one. But these motors love to leak. They leak oil galore. They're just leaky motors. As you can see, you know, it's dripping a little bit. Mine, I guess you can't see. Mine is leaking a little bit. It's actually not too bad considering. I mean, there are literally 7.3s that will, like, borderline leave puddles where they've parked. Mine isn't that bad. You know, if you know these trucks, you know the oil coolers, as time goes on, the seals go bad, and the oil coolers will just leave a giant puddle on your driveway or wherever you're parked. You know, they leak from the oil pan. They don't usually leak from the rear main seal, which is good. I'll pop the hood. I'll show you where some of the leaks are, that at least that I know of. I'm sure there's more. I'm gonna forget some. Sorry about the wind too, if there is any. I'm trying to block it out. You know, I say sorry in every video, but unfortunately I can't stop Mother Nature. They like to leak. You're probably not be able to tell, but in the back by the turbo pedestal down there, you know, they like to leak in like the galley of the motor. They leak oil. They just like to leak oil. I mean, diesels are inherently known to leak. They shake a lot and they vibrate, and they kind of leak more than gas motors. But the 7.3s are definitely, without a doubt, very leaky motors. Now, some of the other common problems that I hate with these trucks, a lot of it's stupid, but some of it's kind of major, you know. One, like the glow plug relay, as you can see, I changed that. The factory ones are known to go bad. Not a big deal. It's just something stupid, you know. I don't know why they put such a small relay on there. You know, you have the turbo pedestal where the turbo sits on, which we showed before. Those are problematic in so many ways. There's a valve that goes bad. They leak from the seals in it. They're just the turbo pedestal design is just not good, and they're problematic as they get older. These have problems with cam. I think it's the cam position sensor. I forget the name of the sensor. Those are known to go bad. I do eventually want to get a spare because they're known to leave people on the side of the road. They also have ICP sensor problems. Those are like the two main sensor problems that I'm aware of that will go bad with these. You know, little stuff. You know, there's a lot of little mods you can do. They have like oil crossover lines that go from like this side of the cylinder head somewhere to the other side of the cylinder head, and it helps transfer the oil over because the number 8 injector gets starved of oil. They just have little issues that are just stupid. And some things are major, like the transmissions in these are not the strongest. They're not bad transmissions, but as soon as you start bumping up power on them, you start doing like, especially like 200, like if you keep it around like 100 horse, you should be okay. Like I keep the tune on like 100 horsepower tune, but if you start bumping it up to like 150 horse, 200 horse, you know what I mean, you're most likely your trans is going to die. They have a super small trans cooler. I don't know if you're able to see the cooler. It's behind the thing here for the AC. But the trans cooler in these is super small, and the trans gets hot, and you essentially cook your trans, especially if you tow a lot. So I will be upgrading my transmission to get much better cooling and help the longevity of my trans. But, you know, the trans is something that is like the Achilles heel of these trucks. Everything's pretty solid, like they have their issues, but the trans is definitely the Achilles heel of these trucks. That will cause you an issue down the road. Now, fortunately, mine has been replaced literally like 8,000 miles ago. The guy put a trans in this at 100,000 miles. I have 108,000. I'm actually almost at 109. So my trans only has, you know, 9,000 miles on it, which is great. I don't have to worry for a while. But it is something that, you know, could be problematic in the future. And the fifth, I will get into the fifth. Oh no, there's one more thing that I want to mention too. Another common problem that I didn't know. These trucks have problems with their gem module. If you don't know, behind this fuse thing here, I'm not going to unscrew it. I don't feel like dealing with it. But behind this, I got to really clean this truck out too. Oh, I got so much cleaning to do. But behind this fuse panel here, there's like a fuse block. Behind the fuse block, there's like a gem module that controls all your electronics in this truck. These trucks are known to leak water from the windshield. Like, I'm assuming it leaks from up here. You know, it works its way down. You know, as you can see, someone has messed with this before. It's all sealed up here. You know, and all the water gets in here, gets on the gem module, gets on everything inside the truck. You're probably not going to be able to tell, but let me get my flashlight. That way you guys can see. You can see how it's kind of like rusty? You know, it's kind of rusty in here. It's because water had been getting down and getting, you know, the floor wet. It got the floors wet. It got on my gem module. And since my module has gotten wet, the gem module, I need to replace it. Now, my truck's still drivable, it still starts, it still does most things okay, but my heat goes in and out. You know, my heat goes in and out, my four-wheel drive goes in and out. The other night, I had the truck out in the woods and I actually got stuck. I didn't get stuck. Someone was like, oh, let me move your truck, because I had pallets in the back. So he's like, oh, let me move your truck so I can get it closer to the fire. I'm like, yeah, whatever, here's the keys. He got the truck stuck in soft sand because, you know, these tires suck, first of all. If I had better tires, I'm sure I wouldn't have gotten stuck. But, you know, I was like, all right, we'll put it in four-wheel drive. Well, guess what? My four-wheel drive wasn't working because it's electronic four-wheel drive and my gem module screwed up. So my four-wheel drive wasn't even working. I was stuck in two-wheel drive. So things like that, you know, they have common problems. The gem module is one of them. The windshield's leaking is a common problem. I thought it was maybe just my truck. It's not. Especially on the early 99s like I have. The windshields are, it's a problem. It really is. That is a common problem. The windshield's leaking. Any forums that I've seen or anything like that, heard from other people, the windshields leaking are very common. So that is something to keep in mind getting one of these trucks. So if you're finding water on your floor or anywhere, I'd replace your windshield right away, because if it starts screwing up your gem module, like mine's kind of screwed up, you know, they're not the most expensive. I found some gem modules from like $200, $300. A shop quoted me like $500 to replace it and do everything. So yeah, it's a $500 job roughly to replace your gem module. So just, they have a few common problems that are annoying. Now the number 5 thing that I hate, and this is going to kind of lead after the common problems, is the expense on this truck. Diesels are expensive to maintain. They're expensive to run. They're just overall much more expensive than, you know, your gas counterpart. You know, that has a 4.6. I don't believe these trucks had a 4.6. I believe it was a 5.4 or the 7.3. I forget what these motors actually these trucks came with. I'm pretty sure that was the only 2 engine options. But, you know, the 4.6 is very close to the 5.4. So the cost of running that car is a lot cheaper than the cost of running this. For one, the diesel is much more expensive. At least in my area, diesel is more expensive. It may be cheaper where you're at. I'm assuming diesel is probably going to be more expensive in every state. If your state is different, that's awesome. That's going to be something that will help cut your costs down a little bit. But I'm sure for most of us, diesel is going to be the most expensive, you know, option going to the fuel pump. But diesel is pretty expensive, so that's one extra cost right there. Another extra cost you have is just regular maintenance on these trucks, especially especially the oil. Now I've changed the oil myself to help save some money. It definitely cuts the cost by quite a bit, but even doing it yourself is still a lot more expensive than changing it in, my Crown Vic or the Jeep. They both use 6 quarts of oil. Usually the average, I'd say, for cars is around like 4 to 7 quarts. That's usually like right around the average, depending on what you have. Most cars are around like 4 to 7 quarts probably. Those are both 6. But these trucks take like 3 gallons of oil. It takes 15 quarts of oil. And it's pretty expensive to even do it yourself. I'm using Rotella T6, which is the synthetic. You can cut the cost down by using just a regular conventional oil. I believe in synthetic. It's just what I use. I've been using it in the Crown Vic for a long time. The Jeep, I don't use synthetic. I use a synthetic blend. I actually run Rotella in that as well. But I run the 10W30. As this, I actually run 5W40. I know some people are probably going to give me crap for changing the weight, but I'm not. I actually may make a video on that, but I'm not really changing the weight on my oil. That's a whole other topic. But point is, I use 5W40. I use a synthetic in this truck, so it's a little bit more expensive than getting your regular just dyno oil from the ground. Okay, I buy that. You gotta buy 4 jugs. Like I said, I think the jugs are like $22 a piece. So there's $100 or more right there, just for the jugs. And then I also use the Arch Oil additive. I forget if it's the AR9100 or the AR7600, whatever the Arch Oil additive is what I use. I actually use the fuel additive too. I use both of the Arch Oil products in this truck. But that's an extra cost. That's an extra. How much is the Arch Oil? I believe it's like another $40 for the additive. So I'm at like I'm at like $140. 100 for the oil, and then $40 for the Arch Oil. I'm at $140, and I'm changing the oil myself. If I were to bring it to a shop, I'd be at like $200 plus. So it is expensive to change the oil. Now, I don't push oil intervals. I always change it every 5,000. That's what I do with the Crown Vic. I do it every like 4,500, 5,000 miles. The Jeep, I actually haven't changed it since I had changed the oil. I'm pretty sure I'm around 3,000 now. But I do the oil changes when, I do it the old man way. I don't push oil interval levels. I do it, when they were doing it since like the 50s, every 3,000, 5,000 miles. That's just how I change it. You're more than welcome to do whatever. But for me, I do it probably sooner than you should. It's better to be safe than sorry, in my opinion. And, I have to pay for that. It costs me more money to do that, which is fine. I'd rather keep my engine nice and healthy and strong than, and pay more money for oil than have it run like crap and I have to get my engine rebuilt at a much higher cost. So it is what it is. But just, the MPG with these, they don't get the best MPG. I mean, there's only so much you can do to really bump up your fuel economy. If things go wrong with these trucks, a lot of things are expensive to repair. Some of the repairs on these trucks are as costly as owning, an exotic car. There are some things on these diesel trucks that will be as much as fixing a German car. We all know how expensive German cars can be, and the repair costs. Well, owning a diesel is no different. It's right around, some things are right around the same cost as owning like a German car. I mean, some things are just expensive. There's parts that are specifically for diesels, and they cost a lot. So that's just one more thing to keep in mind is cost. You know, at the end of the day, these trucks are definitely a lot more expensive to run. You know, tires aren't cheap for these. You know, you got to get light truck tires. They're bigger. You know, these tires are expensive. I'm sure these aren't expensive. These tires, the size in general, just truck tires, are just more expensive than a regular passenger car tire, for the most part, unless you have like a Porsche or something. But that's pretty much it. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I'm pretty sure I've listed all the things that I hate about this truck. Now, hate is very loosely based. I don't really hate a whole lot about it. Besides these tires, like I mentioned before, I absolutely hate these tires. So, you know, that is about the only thing that I truly do hate. Other than that, I love it, and, you know, I plan on keeping this for a long time. I don't ever want to get rid of it. So, alright, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Sorry for the lack of videos. I'm really trying. I've just been super busy with stuff, but I'm trying to make some more time for some videos. So, alright, later guys.